He laughed at the homeless man, offering him a Ferrari if he could make it run. Everyone mocked him. But when the engine roared to life, the millionaire realized he had just met the man who would change his entire world forever. The city glimmered with lights as luxury cars rolled across the streets. One of them, brighter, shinier, and louder than the rest, belonged to Raymond Chase, the youngest millionaire in the city. He was proud, arrogant, and untouchable. One night, his red Ferrari stopped outside a small diner. The engine died. Without a sound, Raymond furiously stepped out, kicking the tire, as if it would magically start again. People watched from a distance, but no one dared to approach. Raymond Chase was known for his temper and his cruel sense of humor. Across the street, sitting beside a trash can, was a homeless man, his clothes torn, his hands greasy. His name was Elijah. He was silent, watching the scene unfold, his eyes calm yet sharp. Raymond noticed him and smirked loudly, saying, "Hey, you looks like you know a thing or two about junk. Come fix my car, and maybe I will let you touch something worth more than your life." People laughed. Some filmed. Elijah stood up slowly, his old shoes scraping the ground. He walked toward the Ferrari and looked at it carefully, not a word from his mouth. Raymond scoffed, "You really think you can fix this beauty? It is a Ferrari, not one of your scrap metal dreams, old man." Elijah looked at him steady and calm, then said softly, "If I make it run, what will you give me?" Raymond burst out laughing. Everyone joined him. He said, "Fine, I will give you the Ferrari itself, if you make it run right here, right now." A quiet hush fell. Elijah nodded once, then asked for the key. Raymond tossed the key at him, mocking, "Go ahead, show us what your street hands can do." Elijah opened the hood gently, as if it was a sacred thing. His hands moved with precision, old, yet sure, every motion quiet, every gesture filled with focus. Raymond kept talking loud enough for everyone to hear. "I could buy 100 mechanics. I just want to see this fool try." Elijah listened to nothing, his mind focused. He traced the lines, the pipes, the wires. His fingers found what they sought, a loose connector. He reached into his torn coat, pulled out a tiny rusted toolkit. People whispered, "Maybe he really knows what he's doing." Raymond laughed again, saying, "If that thing starts, I will not only give you the Ferrari, I will give you my watch too." Elijah did not look up. He finished his work, stepped back quietly, then said, "Try now." Raymond rolled his eyes, but climbed in and turned the key, and in that second the engine roared to life, smooth, deep, powerful, like thunder in the night. Gasps filled the street. The crowd fell silent. The laughter vanished. Raymond froze, his eyes wide as disbelief covered his face. Elijah stepped back, his hands dirty, but his posture strong. He said quietly, "You said it yourself. You will give me the Ferrari if I make it run." Raymond stepped out, looking between Elijah and the car. He forced a laugh. "No way, you just got lucky, or maybe it was not broken at all." The crowd murmured, "No, he really fixed it. I saw what he did." Elijah only said, "I fixed what you missed." Raymond clenched his jaw, pride burning inside him. He said, "You must have worked in a garage or something, right?" Elijah nodded. "Once, used to till they closed it after my wife died. I stopped caring much after that." His words hit the air heavy, like a truth no one wanted to hear. Raymond felt something stir in his chest. He looked at Elijah, really looked at him for the first time, the wrinkles, the calm, the quiet strength. He said, "You know cars better than most people. I pay you to work for me." Elijah smiled faintly. "You already did when you promised me the Ferrari." People laughed softly, this time not at him, but with respect. Raymond smirked, shaking his head. "I was joking, old man." Elijah said softly, "Maybe, but the world hears promises differently from men who have everything." Raymond had no answer. He looked around, everyone watching him. That night, Raymond lay in his penthouse, staring at the city lights outside his window, the sound of engines far below echoing in his head. But all he could think of was that old man with quiet eyes and oil on his hands. For the first time in years, he felt small. His wealth, his luxury, his pride, none of it could silence the voice inside that whispered, "You mocked a man who knows more than you." He could not sleep, so before sunrise he drove through the city looking for Elijah, his Ferrari gleaming under the early dawn sky. He passed alleyways, food stalls, shelters, asking people if they had seen a tall black man who fixed things with kindness in his eyes. Finally, he found him outside an abandoned repair shop, sitting on a stool, helping a little boy fix a rusty bicycle. The boy laughed every time the old man handed him a tool. Raymond stepped out, quietly watching for a while, then said softly, "You really love fixing things, don't you?" Elijah turned his head, slow, calm, Yes, machines break, hearts break, and the world breaks too, but someone has to fix it even if no one pays for it. Raymond stood, still feeling something heavy inside his chest. He said, I could use a man like you at my garage. I will pay you well. Elijah smiled faintly. I am fine here. I fix what needs fixing. Money is not what I look for anymore. Raymond frowned. Why would you turn down comfort, a home, a job security? Elijah said, because I once had all that and lost it chasing pride. I learned that peace is found in purpose, not paychecks. Raymond stared at him, words stuck inside his throat. This man was nothing, yet somehow everything. After a long pause, Elijah looked at the boy who ran off happily on his repair bike, then said, but maybe helping you will help others, so I will come. And so it began. Elijah joined Raymond's workshop. Everyone looked curious, whispering about the homeless man who worked beside their rich boss, but slowly respect replaced mockery, because no one had ever seen skill like his. Every broken car that came to Elijah left running smoother than before. Every worker who felt tired found quiet encouragement in his words. Raymond started spending more time near him, watching, learning, listening. He noticed how Elijah spoke to everyone with patience, how he never raised his voice, never bragged, and never failed to smile. Under that humble exterior lay a strength money could never buy. Weeks turned to months. The arrogant millionaire changed his ways. He stopped shouting, stopped boasting. He started shaking hands with his workers, remembering their names, even helping fix cars himself. The staff whispered the boss has changed, and they were right. The man who once humiliated others had learned humility from a man with nothing. One evening, Raymond walked into the workshop and found Elijah praying, his hands stained with grease. He waited until he finished, then asked softly, how do you do it? How do you keep peace in a world so cruel? Elijah answered, because I know what it feels like to lose everything and still have breath left. If you can breathe, you can begin again. Those words became a seed in Raymond's heart, one that would soon grow into something life-changing. Months later, on a bright morning, Elijah arrived at work as usual. But the moment he turned the corner, he stopped, frozen in disbelief. The red Ferrari stood, shining before him, polished like new, a small white paper stuck on its windshield. His hands trembled as he walked closer. The paper had just 3 words written on it: you earned this. Elijah looked around confused until Raymond stepped out from the office, smiling and holding a cup of coffee. He said, you remember the night we met? I made a promise, and I intend to keep it. Elijah tried to speak, but his throat tightened. He finally said, I don't need this car, Raymond. Raymond shook his head. You fixed more than my car. You fixed me. This Ferrari is a symbol of pride and ego, but you turned it into a symbol of gratitude. I want you to have it. Elijah looked at the gleaming car, then at Raymond, and said, if you truly want to thank me, then let us do something greater. Raymond tilted his head, curious. What do you mean? Elijah pointed to the empty yard beside the workshop. Let us turn that space into a training center for people who have nothing, people like me who only need a chance. Raymond smiled slowly. Then, that will be your project, Elijah. Together, they built it brick by brick with the help of the staff, the community, and those who once stood on the streets. Soon the workshop became more than a business. It became hope. Homeless men, ex-prisoners, struggling mothers, young mechanics, all came there to learn. Elijah trained them with patience, taught them discipline and kindness, and every time he said the same words: machines break, but they can run again, so can people. Raymond visited often, but every time he did, he felt humbled seeing Elijah teach under the sun, sweat dripping, yet smiling like a man richer than any millionaire. One afternoon, reporters came to film the story of the miracle mechanic and his former employer. When they asked Elijah what changed his life, he said quietly, a man once gave me a broken Ferrari, and I gave him back a working heart. The video went viral. Millions watched, millions cried. Raymond later stood before a crowd at a business summit. When asked about success, he said, I learned true wealth is not in cars or gold. It is in humility. It is in giving. That night, after everyone left, Elijah stayed alone in his small office. He looked out through the window at the glowing city lights and whispered softly, thank you, Lord, for letting me fix more than engines. He walked out to the Ferrari, ran his hand across the hood, smiled, and said, it runs just fine because it carries no pride anymore, only purpose. And so the homeless mechanic became a legend, and the proud millionaire became a friend. To the forgotten, together, they proved that dignity is not bought, it is earned in silence through kindness and humility. If you believe in second chances and miracles of the human spirit, then remember this story of Elijah and Raymond and subscribe for more stories that remind the world that hearts like engines can run again.